Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience. And, besides that, he's really weird. Welcome to the Mark Gungor Show with international marriage speaker and author of Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage, Mark Gungor. This is your source for practical, down-to-earth marriage advice without all the over-spiritualization or romantic nonsense. And now the host of the Mark Gungor Show, Mark Gungor.
Crowd goes wild with delirious joy. They've joined the Mark Gungor Show, the show that deals with all things concerning marriage. Indeed, I'm your host, the one, the only, Mark Gungor. Joining me as always, the ever lovely and charming Lady Brierly.
Me.
And the incredible Philip James Gungor.
Hello, folks.
Engineering the show, as always, the very talented but eerily creepy Timothy Robert Ray, pushing buttons, twisting knobs, and trying to stay awake during this incomprehensibly, immeasurably boring show. This is the show that handles your marital challenges, relational conundrums, and dating dilemmas that you can email to us at ask@markgungor.com. Look at this shirt, man. I feel like I'm in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's band.
That's right. It's very psychedelic.
It's like the cover of a Beatles album, isn't it?
It is.
Should I take this off and go all psychedelic? That'd be too much for people.
Cool. That's too much.
They'll probably start hallucinating.
That's just enough with the
It's too
jacket.
bright for the people just listening, too.
Yeah, for all the people listening, it'll be overwhelming.
Yeah.
Considering almost no one actually watches the stupid show. All right, what do you got?
Okay, this article says, is an emotional affair worse than a sexual one? Men and women disagree. Now, I will preface this by saying that it was a survey done by a website that people are actually seeking out affairs. So it's a rather skewed... I will say that straight up.
These aren't anti-affair people.
They are not anti-affair people. They're people that are actually
pro-affair.
right,
Yeah.
but that there's some kind of affairs, even to the cheaters, that apparently are bad. I guess.
Right,
So
let's
anyway,
take a
they
look at
discovered 72% of men surveyed said sexual affairs were worse than emotional affairs.
Okay.
69% of women said emotional affairs were worse than sexual affairs.
Absolute opposite. Mm-hmm. The emotional affairs are worse. The men said sexual affairs are worse.
76% of women would forgive their partner for a strictly sexual affair.
Okay.
Only 35% of men would forgive their partner for a strictly sexual affair.
Okay.
80% of men said they would forgive an emotional affair. Only 30% of women would forgive an emotional affair.
That is stunning.
Isn't that strange?
It is stunning, completely and totally different.
That
So
men
to
just
women-
can't forgive the sex, and women just can't forgive the emotion.
That is so bizarre to
Even
me.
amongst the cheaters.
That's just...
Isn't that bizarre?
At so many levels. Mm-hmm. Keep going.
No, that's all I was going to just read the numbers. Come to mind.
I'm stunned by that. Explains a lot.
Well, we hear
that
from
I
women
ran
all the
into.
time,
I
when
know.
he's on Facebook, he's too close, that they just can't get over that.
If this is true and across the board with women, which nothing's ever perfect,
No,
but
this-
generally speaking, this probably is accurate. I would say that in this one, the men have it right and the women have it wrong. It's just straight up as it is. The Bible never, ever refers to anything in terms of an emotional affair. It talks in terms strictly of a physical affair. Is a sexual affair more... I mean, the line you have to... It's one thing to get emotionally connected to someone, and there's all kinds of situations that allow that to happen. It's another thing to get your clothes off and get absolutely naked and sexually engaged with somebody. I don't know how women can even begin to equivocate the same. It's bizarre to me.
You probably don't troll internet and read all of the things the way that I do. That's
You
out
troller!
there. It is a huge thing that is out there everywhere about this emotional affair, and there's so much press about it, shall we say, that I think that women get caught up in that because so many articles are written and so many people speak about it, women's ministry, all of this about, I think they've ratcheted that up to make it something that is bigger than what the Bible says that it is.
But wouldn't you say, and this I think would be the reason that it would be so much more hurtful for women, is what women really want in any relationship, the ultimate goal, okay, is to have an emotional connection with a man. And yes, sex is a big part of it. I'm sure if you reworded this thing, they would say, "Oh yes, we not super excited about them having just a sexual fit." But when that's
right, they get it. I think it's just they actually feel it. I think you're dead on. Women do feel that way. I agree.
And that's the most hurtful thing.
Oh yeah, to them.
He had the sex, but you actually connected with them on an emotional level, which is
because that's what I wanted.
The deepest desire of their heart.
No, I get it. I just think
he's saying biblically
speaking, the men have it right here. Nowhere in the Bible does it ever say. In fact, even where Jesus says, there's one exception that he talked about for divorce was what we say is adultery, but he doesn't say adultery. People get that wrong. What he says is fornication. Fornication is the physical act, because Jesus himself said, look, you can be lusting in your heart and you're guilty of adultery, right? But he says the only excuse for breaking this off is for fornication. He literally tied it to the physical act. So from a biblical standpoint, I'm just telling you, the guys have this right and the women do not. Having said that, it's not going to make any women feel any different. The reality is, do women feel this way? Yeah. Women are much more likely to forgive a man who is sexually unfaithful to her than a man will, vice versa. It just is what it is. The problem is oftentimes women will end marriages based strictly on the emotional. They said it was an emotional affair, and that justifies divorce. And, people argue about this all the time. But I think certainly from a biblical standpoint, there's little to no substantiation for that. Your emotions don't dictate your actions necessarily. They can if you're not careful. Well, how you feel is, oh, man, that's just crazy.
But I'm telling you, there's hardly a day that goes by that I don't read or see something about this whole big hubbub of emotional affairs, and I think it's ratcheted up a lot of women.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with them ratcheting it up and getting upset by it, and because I'm always for women set the standard for how they'll be treated.
No, I get it.
And I think it's good for them. Because here's the reality is, very rarely does a man get emotionally connected with a woman without getting sexually connected with a woman. They're acting like this is like two totally different things, and it's not. I have no problem with women saying, I am opposed to my husband having an emotional affair. They'll say, because of emotional reasons, according to this, I would agree with them because of the sexual component. Because the chances are of a man being emotionally connected to a woman and not getting physical with her is highly unlikely. It can be done. It's dangerous, but it can be done. The problem, though, and again, my standard, call me a freak, is not what I think. I try to follow the Bible. The Bible is my standard. That is the plumb line. You know what a plumb line is?
Yes, I do.
Ooh, does Phil know what a plumb line is? Mm-hmm. Ooh, right. A lot of people do not know what a plumb line is. It's what a...
you take a bunch of plums
and you line
them all up.
No. That's not a plumb line.
Gives you the straight, true line.
Yeah, like construction people will take a line that's true. They figure it out what's exactly, and then they build everything to... And that's why they say, well, it's not plumb if it's out of whack and stuff. So our...
Whoopsie there.
Our plumb line is the Bible. And the real problem here is the sexual component. The fact that this is treated as if these are two totally separate things, I think is a little ridiculous. The one clearly leads to the other. What I'm concerned about is I know women who will say, just because of the emotional thing, it is adultery, therefore I can divorce him. I think they're stretching there. Or a woman will say, a guy will admit, man, I was lusting after that, which a guy should not admit to his wife.
Dumb.
People don't need to share with others. Man, well, I had dreams about that lady's butt. Man, was she good looking? That's not a good thing to share. Now, it's not a good thing to share. It's not something good to do, but if you do it, you repent, you ask God to forgive you, you move on. You don't need to dump that on top of your wife. Because there's women who will have a guy who will say that to them. I've heard people talk about this. Told me they got divorced because of it. Because he admitted lusting after another woman. And Jesus said, if you lust after a woman, that you've committed adultery in your heart. And he says adultery is an excuse for divorce. That's not right. He says fornication. The actual physical act is the excuse for the divorce. I wouldn't toss your marriage in because one person got emotionally connected to another person. Can it be hurtful more to a woman than to a man? Clearly. But it's not the same. On the other hand, this separating of the two is really a bit of a stretch in the first place. Clearly, these are very much tied to each other. In fact, most men, I know there's this thing, men are all pigs and, any woman will have sex with them, will have sex. It's not really true. There are men who are like that. There's no question about it. There's men who'll pay for sex, okay? But by and large, most men who have affairs do so because of the emotional connection in the first
Well, especially
place.
if they're, what I want to say, good men, or if they're believers, or, things like that. They're just not going out and having random sex.
No. And usually anytime that they do, it's because of a very strong emotional connection. Yeah. So the problem is, we're trying to just dissect a fly here. It's like, I don't know if this is a true story or not, but they said one of the stupidest arguments in the history of the Roman Catholic Church. And again, it's probably not true. Maybe it is. I don't know. But they say that in 1400, whatever was the thing, they were having this big council, and the balance of power in Europe was at stake because the church was the state at the same time. And they were fighting the whatever, all these wars and stuff. So, but the number one thing on the docket was if a fly falls into the holy water, is the holy water polluted or is the fly sanctified? So, I get to my Catholic friends, I don't know if it's true. It's probably not.
It could be one of those urban legends.
I know, but it's certainly true the way a lot of people think.
Right.
So this is kind of a fly in the holy water kind of debate as far as I'm concerned. All right, enough of this. We'll be back with your emails right after this.
Attend Mark's Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage event. Visit laughyourway.com for upcoming dates and locations.
Mark Gungor here in my sparkly jacket, here to talk to you about Transition 1, a one-year transition gap year program that we have for kids that are coming out of high school and before they go into college. Slow down. Take a year. The Bible says, seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things that you want will be added to you. Well, we think, oh, no, I got to get the stuff. No, you'll get the stuff. God wants you to get. God will help you get your stuff and do life. But slow down for a minute. You don't need to just rush off in a mad burst to try and get all the stuff you can from the world going to some college. And not everybody should even be going to college. There's a whole nother sermon. But for heaven's sakes, whatever you do, take a year. Slow down. Put God first. This is the most likely time that you'll ever have to take a year and just put God really first in your life. When you're going to do it? After you graduate from college? Not likely. After you get married? Forget about it. When you have kids? Are you kidding? Maybe when you're 65, but then you don't have the energy to go do it anymore. When else are we going to do it? It's the perfect time. It's the perfect time. Encourage your young people. They're freshmen right now. So it's great. Listen, I'm telling you, what I want you to do is, and there's several of these programs out there. I think you should come to ours. But whatever you do, slow down. Get into your kids' thinking. What we're going to do is you're going to go to high school, and then you're going to do a one-year gap program where you're going to focus on your faith and life and how to do life. And then, after that, you can go to college. You can do whatever else. It'll save you a lot of money. It'll help them focus. They'll be changed forever if you will do this. Go check out our website, transition1.org. Transition1.org. Slow down. Put Jesus first. See what that does for our young people. All right, certainly during the break, we had a big theological discussion. If we were involved in that question of the holy water, how would we rule? If a fly fell in the holy water, would the fly be sanctified or the holy water polluted? Diane said,
Fly would be sanctified.
Phil said,
sanctified.
And I agree. So we actually have a trifecta here.
That doesn't happen very often.
Of all the stupid things to debate, though.
Three of us
Catholic Church
agreeing.
comes asking us.
Yeah,
Sure they
if
will.
anybody wants to know. I wonder what the ruling was. I never heard the ruling. The whole thing could be an urban legend,
It could
but,
be.
Pretty funny. All right, what do you got?
Okay, since you haven't talked about masturbation for quite some time on this
thank
show,
God for that.
she says, I am reading this sex book written by a male Christian psychologist. And in one of the chapters, he suggests to husbands to masturbate 3 months the night before or the morning of the wedding, especially if they have never had sex before. He said it will help them not to ejaculate early. He also said to do it with pure thoughts. My husband says he's an idiot because 1, that will train himself to his hand, and because 2, it's virtually impossible for a man to masturbate without fantasizing. There is no way for an unmarried man to masturbate with pure thoughts. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Your husband is a genius, and the guy you're reading is an idiot wrapped up in a moron. That's my answer. Your husband's dead on right. Your guy's an idiot. And who cares? Of course, the first time a guy has sex, it's over. So what?
So just
the honeymoon,
let it be over in 30 seconds and go again?
The whole honeymoon thing isn't about what happens the very first time. Who cares? It's about you. That's why it's a honeymoon. That's why you're off doing all the crazy rolling around in the hay till the boy gets the hang of it. You learn it together.
And if he's a young guy,
this is
doesn't mean when it's done, it's going to be 3 hours or 3 days. I mean,
the refractory period is much shorter.
Oh yeah, I mean these guys. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah.
The psychologist. The most important thing is that he doesn't ejaculate too fast on his. Really? He's an idiot.
Just do it again.
I'm an angry elf.
Just do it again. At the break, I'll tell you who that author is and what that book is. I didn't read it on the air. You know who it is.
Oh Lord.
Okay.
I know the guy.
No, you don't know.
Oh,
you know of him.
You
know of him. You know of him.
All right.
Okay, next email, she says, I recently read your article on the importance of rules in relationships and setting them up early in the marriage. My husband and I do have certain rules or expectations that we have set up for our relationship. But what I don't understand is why he sets certain rules and expectations for me that he has no intention of upholding himself.
For example?
He could scold me angrily for something and then break that very rule himself the very day. Is this a guy thing that I'm not getting? And so I asked specifically, can you give us an example? Mm-hmm. She says, for instance, one requirement my husband has is that I have to be present at the dinner table throughout the whole meal because without me, he finds it hard to manage our 4 young children. So he can't handle the monkeys at the table. This is something that I do follow. My husband's participation during dinner time, though, is different from the level of engagement he expects from me. Mid-meal, he'll get up and go to other parts of the house, do chores, or continue his projects. If I were to do the same thing, he would get very upset with me. He also expects me to respond immediately to his requests and gets frustrated and angry otherwise. On the other hand, he responds to me at his own convenience. He also pushed me to get rid of my comfy shorts that I wore to bed.
Signed, Debbie Gungor.
And expected me to wear pajamas that were pleasing to him, all the while justifying his habit of going to bed in his underwear. Is there a double standard here?
Signed, Debbie Gungor.
The hypocrisy is making it hard for me to want to honor his expectations, she says. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander,
Signed,
apparently.
DG of Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Signed desperately, Debbie.
No, I think that's. I see that both ways. I do. So I think, just lighten up a bit. I don't know. You can set the rules and standards, but things are not always equal. And the same with my wife. I can say, she'll say one thing, but then for example.
Okay, let's get specific.
I'm exactly like this guy.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Really?
Really? Are you sure?
I am shocked.
Shocked.
I'm shocked at that admission. I think I need a minute here.
I don't have 4 children. I have 6 grandchildren. If all of them are, and she's not there, I'm coming unglued because I can't handle it. If she shows up with sick, like, hey, see you later, and I take off, and she's fine with it. Okay,
yes.
Is it fair? No, it's not fair. Is it hypocritical? I don't know if I can use the word hypocritical. I guess it's hypocritical. I don't know, whatever. But on the same time, man, if my wife has to be at church for an event at 7:00. Man, at 6:00, she's getting ready to go. I mean, she's dragging me. Come on, let's go. We got. But if I got to be somewhere, and it's like,
I don't want to go.
So is it fair? No. Is life fair? No. But we know the rules and we roll with it. So I'd say I would. Is it hypocritical? So of course. Is it the end of the world? No, I don't think so. What I would do is I'd remind him of his transgression.
Well, it's like saying that my expectations are the same as yours. They're not. Everybody
They're not.
has
And that's the
different
other thing.
expectations.
They're not equal, but they're not the same.
Right.
In other words, I couldn't handle all 6 of them by myself. I would go nuts. Truth is, just having one freaks me out. Now they're older, so I don't have a problem now. But when they were little babies, my son's way better at this than I am. Oh my, he'll take all 4 of them. His wife goes, man, I would just go, I go crazy. Because the thing cries out, the thing.
It's crying.
It's crying. Why is it? I don't know why
what
it's
do I do
crying,
with it? But if you would have been forced to do it, if she would have just said, suck it up, Buttercup, they're your kids, I'm gone for the day, you would have learned how to do it.
I would have taken my own life.
No, you would have
for the day.
You would have learned how to do it.
I don't think so, man. Just my granddaughter, when she was like 1,
Well, that's because you're a baby.
I am a baby. I'm just saying, I'm not just like this guy. I'm admitting it clearly. And she's calling. Hey yo, hey yo. And I go, what the heck is hey yo? And I'm going beside her, and I'm texting my wife. She's in choir practice. What is hey yo? She's not responding, and she's crying, and I'm throwing things at her. Nothing works.
You weren't throwing things at her.
Giving
you were
things.
trying to give her things.
I wasn't throwing it. Shut up, stupid kid. No, it's my granddaughter. I love my granddaughter.
Pony. Just stop.
If you would just, that's all.
Do you want a pony?
I'm coming. So finally, my wife picks up and says, "What's the problem?" I says, "She wants Ayo." She says, "Well, that's yogurt." And I'm going, how do you get yogurt out of Ayo? How am I supposed to? So she's just laughing at me. So I give the kid the yogurt. Now he shuts up crying. So I don't know. I don't handle it very well. So we reverse that. Is it the same? It is not the same.
Right.
But life isn't the same. So I would relax a little bit. Is it unfair? Yeah. Is it a bit hypocritical? Sure. But it goes both ways.
If she really wants him to stay at the table with the 4 kids, then she needs to pitch a fit the way that he pitches a fit.
Why are you being a hypocrite? Hey. See your butt down. I can't get up. You got to say.
Right.
If I go, okay.
You want him to come to bed in something besides torn, dirty underwear? Well, then.
He should come buck naked. That's what I say. All right. Enough of this. We'll be back with your more emails right after this.
Have a marriage dilemma? Email your questions to ask@markgungor.com, and Mark can answer them during one of our shows.
Yes.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show as I finish texting. Talking about love, marriage, and dating and whatnot.
Apparently you had something else to say that you were saving, reserving.
Oh, this whole thing about fair, it's not fair. He says this, but then he does that. The people who get caught up in what's not fair live very miserable lives. Life is never fair. Nothing is ever totally equitable. Now, I don't have a problem with her laying down the law a little bit. If it bothers her that he gets up and just waltzes away from the table, and hey, I can't leave, you can't leave. There's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with her doing that. What I have a problem with her is him doing it. She doesn't say anything, and then her feeling bad.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
Because it's
to
not
me.
fair.
That's horse manure. Well, you should know better. No, if you ain't saying it, zip it, Skibby. Seriously, he should know better. It's not fair. Just really. And besides, this whole fair thing, that's what's wrong with our country. Everybody wants everything to be fair. Everybody's not fair. It's not fair.
I wish that life were fair, too.
Oh, that's why there's the whole attraction of socialism. Everybody wants everything fair and equitable. What they don't realize is it's never fair. Even in communism, communism, the worst version of socialism, these guys, the inequities were outrageous. The political people had all the major money and the power and everything else, and the dweebs all got nothing. That was their version of fairness. Well, nothing's fair in life. Just stop. It's not fair that some people make more money than me. Really? It's fair because it's not fair this, that, and the other, I get people who get mad. When I was first doing this, I don't hear it so much anymore because I think they finally shut up. But other guys in my profession, if you will, who were PhDs and stuff like that, were furious at me because I didn't have any of those degrees, but I'm having all the success. And they'd come unglued because it's not fair to them. Well, the problem is you're boring and I'm not. So anyway, life isn't fair. Get over it. But if it bothers you, just tell him. Don't just get upset about it and hold it in thinking it's not fair. All right? All right, we will continue with more emails after this break.
Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show. Mark Gungor, Diane Barley, and the amazing Philip James Gungor. What do you got?
I have a money question for you.
Money, money, money.
She wants to know, when you had your first child, did you feel financially ready or were you still struggling?
I sold the first child. That's how we got our money to get the second one. You can have. There's a great big markup on those.
Called investment children.
Mm-hmm. They're seed children. I did not. It's just a joke. I didn't sell anybody. I wanted to sell them because. All right, go ahead.
No, she just wants to know because they're not as financially stable as she would like them to be at this point, and they're getting ready to have the baby. So she just wants to know, were you ready or were you still struggling?
I'm still struggling. I'm 61 years old.
Okay, so
I'm
what's
still
financially
struggling.
ready? Like if you decide
that's
I'm
the
going
point.
to have a child when I feel financially ready, what's the bar? How much money do you have to have before you feel financially prepared for a child? Phil?
Oh, no, people crazy. I mean, I feared the same thing, and I had a friend come up to me and just say, it's really not as expensive as you think. It's
they say, it's all crap.
It's the
Crap.
fear of
Today's
the unknown.
word
is
the word crap.
I had my first child when we were living below the poverty level. Literally.
Oh, we were way below. We looked up at the people below the poverty level thinking, man, someday we'll be poor. We're looking forward to that. Struggling. Let me give you a picture. Who wrote this? Some nice lady from who knows where? When we had our first child, we were traveling nomads. Our first house was an 8x10 tent. People don't believe this. They don't get it. We were hippies. Hippies for Jesus. We lived in a tent. Even in the winter. I remember getting up in the morning and we'd have to take a candle or something, to hold it up to the zipper to melt the ice.
You can unzip it.
So you could unzip it, Skippy, and get out of the. So to say we were at below poverty level is an understatement.
I was probably
of
rich compared to you, hey?
Gargantuan proportions. So, and we were just fine. It is not. People say, a child's going to cost you $60,000. It is all nonsense. All of it. Horse manure. All right? So just relax. That's why people don't want to get married. Oh, we don't have enough money. Whoever has enough money?
You can't get married till you have enough money.
Do
you can't
you?
have kids till you. No, I don't have
Do
enough.
you have enough money?
I would say
it's because you got a cheap boss. Number one.
Can we discuss that for the rest of the show?
At what point do you get
What's enough?
where you can say, I have enough money? It's one of the stupidest premises that people
I would
throw
like
out.
more money, but do I make it on what I have? Yes, I learn to make it no matter what I have. If it's a little more, if it's a little less, if it's a lot less.
That's the
I've
reality
gone through all sorts of that
it.
in my life.
Yes. If I don't have any money, I live in a tent. It's simple. But what if I have just barely enough money? I live in a mobile home.
Do you figure it out?
Well, if I got more money, well, I live in a apartment, or I rent, or just And you get to a point that people actually pay you to do what you love.
Some of us get to that point. Some of us don't get.
Then you have a nice boat and float around on the water.
That's why I don't have enough money, Phil. Do you hear that? Do you hear what he's saying?
You should.
He's saying that. That's because
if you lived in the boat, Diane, in the off season.
She does live in the boat.
I don't live in the boat.
You used to. I mean, you spent a week there.
At one time, I spent a week on the boat.
You can
She
be
lived
the
on the boat.
first mate.
That's right.
I could.
You
She
can
was.
clean the boat.
She
That's
actually
what
did
I
clean
did.
the boat. She did
That's
clean
what
the
I
boat.
did. I scrubbed my fingers and knees raw scrubbing your
By the way,
boats.
anytime you want to live in that boat,
And clean it.
seriously, you just want to hang
And
out,
clean it.
and man,
And
I
clean
wouldn't
it.
work. I wouldn't work as hard as you did. I mean, you were a little over the top.
She was in scuba gear underneath.
Oh man, she was into just.
It was insane.
And I felt bad. I'm like, oh my goodness, you didn't have to scrub.
It was detailed. Do you know?
She detailed. this
I
stuff.
detailed that boat, every bit of it.
Listen, I think it's God's will that you live in our boat for several weeks this summer.
And keep it clean.
If that's what you feel has to be done.
And then he'll come down and decide to take the boat out, and he'll say, "Oh, thanks," and he'll leave me standing on the dock as he waves.
No, we don't do that.
Pulls away without me.
Hold this line. I'll be back at some point.
Just hold it and wait.
No, we're not. We're not that mean. Anyway, yeah, I think all this
Financially
nonsense.
prepared.
No, it's just crazy. The people are literally waiting for the finances to be in a certain place before they live life, and they're missing life. That's the thing. They're not having
you're
children.
waiting.
They're not getting married. They're literally missing life. And then when they finally get to a place where they think they have enough money, then they try and catch up with life. And, they're in 62 and their kids are still in high school. It's insane. And here's the reality. When you think you start suddenly have enough money, you could start having kids and in a year and a half be fired. Mm-hmm. Your industry could tank.
Yeah.
You could lose your
job. You
job.
totally think that you have enough. Somebody could get sick. You could have astronomical medical bills, something like that. And you'll never have enough money. You can't prepare for everything.
You know what my out-of-pocket was?
What?
The year that Deborah was really sick? $40,000.
Out of pocket.
$40,000 out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we kid around. I don't have that much money, but you just suck it up. I mean, that's really someone can get sick and you're in big trouble. Mm-hmm.
I never figured out what my out of pocket was. I don't want to know. It wasn't that much. I don't think it was because I wasn't in the hospital as much.
As bad as she was, but I mean, it's.
I still don't want to know what it was.
It adds up, man. Life is hard. All you people waiting and hiding and not doing life because some nitwits convince you don't have enough money. Got to wait to have enough money before you get married. Wait to have enough money to have kids, and wait till you have enough money to. These are people. They are missing out on 10 to 20 years of their lives. They're not doing life. And they're trying to catch up at the end. I just think it's sad. It's pathetic, man. My kids were gone by the time we're in our 40s.
Yeah.
My grandfather, 48, 49. I mean, these people, there's no way they're going to do that kind of math. Now, we have all the freedom in the world. Mm-hmm. People say, how can you travel so much? Because I didn't do what you did.
Yes, exactly.
How can you go around the world and do this and travel and speak? How can you do all this? Because we didn't do what you did.
Yeah. Because if you had kids at home, you couldn't be doing that.
Of course not.
You had kids in junior high or something. No, you can't.
I know. It'd be problematic. So anyway, all right. That's my money answer.
Okay.
What else you got?
Are we going to go on or are you going to? Yeah.
We can take a break.
Okay.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with something else.
Dating.
Oh, dating.
I
love the dating.
Till the end.
Dating. Questions right after this.
Download your free Mark Gungor app today to see all of the latest from the world of Mark Gungor.
Who I am is not at home.
Come on, Joe. Oops, it's making
Who I want to become.
There we go.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show. Talking about love, marriage, and relationship. Answering your dating questions.
Dating. So it's a guy writing. He says, so me and my significant other have been together for 5 months now as a long-distance couple. He says really, 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 really long distance. Mm-hmm. She was on a missions trip in my country, and after she left, we decided to keep talking. One thing led to another. Okay, he discovered she was a wonderful Christian, and now they've just been communicating via Skype. He's told her that he loves her. Mm-hmm. He says, literally, we've spent almost 8 hours a day just talking to each other, trying to discover who the other person is. So she bought a ticket to come and see me sometime this year. That's that talking.
All right.
And then he better not be a guy who never wants to talk to her after they get married.
Well, she probably will.
Yeah.
All right, right.
In the past month, she decided she wanted to come and stay for more than just the 2 planned weeks, as in she wants to stay forever. Mm-hmm. She's making a big sacrifice, and the anxiety does not help. I do not want her to have...
Who has the anxiety?
I don't know if it's her anxiety or if it's the anxiety, I guess. Anyway, I didn't ask that. I do not want her to have any regrets and wake up 10 years from now and tell me that she did this for me. I really love her. I do not want to hurt her. My question, besides the leave it in God's hands, do you have any advice that you can give? And do you think that we should go on with this plan?
Okay, you're so faulty at so many levels. First of all, I would never give you the advice, just leave it in God's hand. This guy's like, never listened to the show?
Mm-hmm. He's from Romania, and she's from the U.S. So
all right, well, he must have just run across the show by accident sometime. Mm-hmm. The last thing in the world I'd tell you is to leave in God's hand. You need to use your brain, for heaven's sakes. So you don't just leave in God's hand, you think it through. Is it possible that 10 years down the road, your wife might have some regrets? Sure. It's called life. For heaven's sakes, you might have a few regrets of your own. Now, I would suggest highly that you do not voice any of these regrets to each other. It just is what it is. Someone is not as pretty as they once were. Someone is not nearly the talkative person they thought they were in the beginning. Someone is not nearly as helpful and handily around the house. Say, someone skillful like myself.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I changed the light bulbs the other day.
You didn't lure her
I
into
know.
a
That-
false.
But it's not about, he's not false. The thing
Well, the thing is, if she goes and is going to stay for an extended period of time, she might find out real quick in 2 or 3 weeks of being in Romania with him that I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
He thinks that just because she's volunteering to come over there now, that's locked it in. And that's not necessarily true.
But she's coming there for one reason, because he's been talking to her 6 to 8 hours a day. She's coming there to marry you, you nitwit. That's exactly why she's coming. How dumb are these people?
Stop. That's not nice.
Oh, come
dumb
on.
are
He's a
these
guy.
people?
He can handle it. Why do you think? The girl's coming back and wants to spend an
Because
extended
he
time.
spent 8 hours a day
She
talking to her.
wants you to
Yes.
marry her. That's why she
And
wants
she's going to want you to talk to her for 8 hours a day.
for the rest of your life.
Seriously. She seriously will.
Oh, well, you don't know that.
Oh, yeah, I kind of do.
Well, no, Phil's right. Nobody knows anything. You do the best you can. You make the most. At some point, you make a commitment. We're going to serve God together. We're going to do life together. We're making a commitment to each other. That's it. Everything changes from there. You know, once you find, it's like doing a business plan. You ever do a business plan? I don't know if you ever done anybody ever do a business plan. Even the most experienced people who understand business plans will say you need to do a business plan before you start a business plan. And the most experienced, intelligent guys, as soon as you create that business plan and they get it the way they want it, they tell you something. This will change. The second you have a business plan, the good thing about a business plan is it forces you to think. I think couples should do business plans, relational business plans. But here's the deal. As soon as you're done with the business plan and
gonna
it's done,
change.
you take it and you rip it up. Because it's not going to be what you thought. It's that in business, it's that in marriage, it's about in everything. But you want to, don't over spiritualize, don't put this in God's hands. God isn't going to marry her. You got to marry her. Think it through. Do you want to spend the rest of this life with the woman? Yes, then you marry her. And if she says yes back, well, that's when you marry again. She says no.
You can't marry someone who
can't marry
says
her.
no.
Well, what's going to happen in 10 years? I don't know. You could get fat. All right? Maybe this is a guy who's 130 pounds. 10 years from now, he could be 350 pounds. We don't know that. Now, I hope that's not your case. But you don't know what's going to change. Her teeth could all fall out.
Wasn't what I signed up for.
That's what people say. It's not what
I know.
It's not what I signed up for. Her hair could fall out.
I
A rare,
know.
strange disease, and she's bald as a
It's called
cucumber.
alopecia.
Well, how would you know that?
Because
That's highly disturbing.
I'm smart. Yeah, when you just lose your hair and there's no reason for it, that's alopecia.
She might have alopecia. I'd like a piece of that. All right? So now she's bald. Well, get a wig. Seriously. I mean, these you single people, you want guarantees. There's no guarantee.
If he didn't have anxiety before, he does.
Now he does.
Gungor, the cause of your anxiety.
First of all, he said I was dumb. And second, now he's got me all freaked out because a girl can go bald. On this life, there's no guarantees on anything. Everybody wants a guarantee. It's not about guarantees. What it is you like this girl. She likes you back. You're attracted to each other. You love God. Let's do life together. Now, what happens after that, I have no idea. For you to feel anxiety about what might happen in 10 years is crazy. Stop. Do you love the girl? Does she love you? You want to get married? You want to have life? You want to have cute little babies? That's why you marry the girl. What happens from there, you just trust God through it all. And I sincerely hope that nobody goes, well, you might go bald. I hope your wife doesn't go bald. But if she does, so what? Get a wig. My wife has some cool wigs. Well, she's going through chemo. I told her she should get like 10 of them. Just have a different look every day.
I should still pull mine out and show up with my wigs on some days just to throw you off.
That's what. Yeah, because you lost your hair, right?
Most of it.
Most of it.
I looked like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings. I didn't lose all of it. All of it probably would have been better than the Schmeagol look, actually.
She was Schmeagol. You find out your wife is Schmeagol. What do? You put on a wig, and you move on. You do life together. There's no guarantees. What you are guaranteed is that God will love you and strengthen you through any test or trial you will ever run into in your life if you'll keep your trust in Him. Doesn't mean life will be easy. Stop stressing about stuff you don't know. Which is how I've given you.
Giving him more stress.
He's hyperventilating right now.
He needs a paper bag.
I don't think I helped this man. I think I just made it worse. Anyway, pretty funny. All right, we'll take a break and be back. We got another dating thing coming up?
Sure.
All right, more dating after this.
Want more of Mark? Visit markgungor.com. There you will find everything that Mark has to offer.
I've grown to love these rainy days.
The Mark Gungor Show, answering dating questions. Last guy was all stressed out because he didn't know what it's going to be like in 10 years. Like, you don't know any. You know what really the problem is? A lot of these people, they wait until the other person is just exactly in the perfect spot in life. And then when they get married, they think, this is it. Mm-hmm. I will love you for as long as we live, as long as nothing changes.
This.
Yes. As long as you always look this way, as long as we always have this much money, as long as we always feel this much energy, have this much health.
Doesn't happen.
I mean, that's really what they're thinking. And then when things change, that's when people come unglued. Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't what I expected.
Because it was supposed to stay exactly like this.
Of course
It doesn't. Dummies.
It is what it is. I know. All right. What do you
Okay. I think it's a guy writing. Yes. He says, I am a recent subscriber to your YouTube channel. So
Good
he found
man.
you on YouTube. Listening to you from Australia, 32-year-old single male. I am Hindu and I love my religion.
Okay.
I like Christianity as well, he says.
Well, good for you.
I have been to different churches a few times and I like going to a church. I have heard you talk about marriage and sex in conjunction with religion many times. What are your views about intercultural or interreligion marriages? For example, a Christian marrying a Hindu. My girlfriend is a Christian. Mm-hmm. I have no intention of ever leaving my religion, and I would never want my girlfriend to leave hers. We have talked about this, and both of us are happy with this decision. Both of us respect each other's religion. I have been to church with her, and she has been to Hindu temple with me a few times, and we are happy with each other. Mm-hmm. We've been dating for 5 months. We haven't had sex so far and will not until we get married. So what are your views about intercultural, interreligion
Generally speaking,
marriages?
it's a general answer. Generally speaking, it's a bad idea. It is, because you just have different values, different ways. You say, well, I'm good with she goes to church and I go to the temple, we're good. But then you're going to have children. Where are they going to go? Well, I want them to come to the temple. No, she wants them to go to church. Then that becomes a problem. What happens when we get sick? Your wife has breast cancer. You're going to want to take her to a Hindu temple and offer sacrifices to some demigod. You know, she's not going to have a problem with that. And then she'll get upset because you can't pray with her and trust God and believe Jesus for healing. And, you know, I just think my advice, don't do it. That's is it possible? Anything is possible. The Bible actually tells your wife that she should not marry you. She says she's a Christian. She's obviously not a terribly devout Christian, or she would know this. Is it the end of the world if she marries you? No, I don't have the nice thing is he's saying, I don't have a problem with her being a Christian. I'm comfortable around Christians, but I'm going to, there's a lot of stuff there. I'm just saying, you don't know what things are, just like we were saying, you don't know what's going to happen 10 years down the road.
Well, and if they're just, both of them are rather nominally invested in their religions, that's different
That's
than
the
if they
other
were
thing,
both
too. Are they
very
really
devout?
I think a super devout Hindu probably doesn't go to Christian churches and feel comfortable, A truly devout Christian girl probably wouldn't be comfortable with him. So, and from that counts where you're both not really all that devout, but you're both really nice about it. Again, my general advice is it's not a good idea, but if you're both that nice as you just send the letter, of course that would work. Mm-hmm. If people would just be nice. My question is, will you be nice when children come along? Will you be nice when someone gets sick? Will you be nice when someone loses a job? How are you going to handle life? When the struggles, if you can stay nice and respectful of each other, is it possible? Yeah. Is it advisable?
No.
The answer is no. But I'm for you, man. If that's what you guys decide to do, I hope you do well, and I hope you come to my church and visit me, because I'm a beautiful man.
Okay.
That's all you got to say.
Okay, no, I was listening to you, but I was trying to decide where I was going to go next with which email. Okay. He says, I was addicted to porn as a young teenager, but have now at 18 completely abstained for at least a year. Good. I hate it, and I never want to go back to it. I am a Christian.
Fabulous.
I have a close friend who is a girl who I very much like, but do not feel ready to take to the next level. I don't mean sex, I mean dating with intention to marry. Uh-huh. I had extremely dysfunctional family and have experienced firsthand the devastating effects, and I'm scared if I were to marry, I would stuff it up, he says.
Okay.
How do I know if I will be able to go on with a normal, healthy intimacy and sexual relations with a wife? I don't even know what that really looks like. All I've known is dysfunction and porn.
a couple of things. Number one, just because you have dysfunctional parents doesn't mean that you will be dysfunctional. There would be those who would argue that, yes, you will. I would argue that it's not. Is he a devout Christian?
He says, I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I would say, follow through on your faith. The one thing about Christianity is you get more connected to your faith. Doesn't matter what kind of a psycho parents you had. Many of us at this table,
especially Phil, he's had the worst go of it of all three of us. He's had the most crazy and psycho upbringing and dysfunctional father of anybody that I've ever known.
Not normal, but I wouldn't say dysfunctional. We're not dysfunctional per se. My parents were somewhat dysfunctional, to say the least. Your parents were dysfunctional, to say the least.
I was only teasing you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know.
Just to clarify for you.
I was trying to be serious for 5 seconds. I'm sorry. I'm so embarrassed. It's just that I've had a great marriage. But my wife had a very dysfunctional family. I had a dysfunctional family, and we've had a fight. Why? Because of our faith. So you need not fear what you come from. The beautiful thing that if any man is in Christ, he is a new creature. All things become new. Old things pass away. So in that respect, that you're safe. As far as the addiction to porn, if you've been clear for a year, you're no longer addicted to porn, and you should be just fine. Here's the thing. People heal. It's a wonderful. You could be a hardcore shooting up heroin addict today. I mean, to the point you'd almost kill somebody to get another hit. But a year from now, you could be a perfectly normal human being. Now, does that mean that you can be careless around drugs? No, you always got to be aware that that's propensity, and you need to always be careful to stay away from that kind of stuff. At least at this point, you say, I hate that stuff, which is good. I think you're fine. I would follow through on your faith and let God continue the work that he's doing in you. You find a nice, wonderful girl, and you want to date the girl for opportunity to maybe find a wife. Get on with it, man. Don't let your past rob you of your future. Don't let your mistakes define you. Don't live there. That's an icky place to be. We recently had an Easter service, and one of the things that I preach is that with Christ, it's never too late. It's never over. Everybody thinks it's over. The thing about Jesus is that there's always newness. There's always a new beginning. Not that there aren't consequences to stuff. I get that. But, live out your life, man. Don't let your past dictate your future. Don't let life suck the life out of you, all right? All right, see ya.